to be there for the community during their times of need. And we've certainly done that through our different lines of service. So our service to the armed forces, through disaster cycle services, our blood services, our training services. And then, like I said, we are a volunteer-led organization, or a volunteer-driven organization. So this is all done by our body of volunteers. So I certainly wanted to make sure I did spotlight a couple notable things that we've done in Lebanon County this past year, given the pandemic. The first and most notable, I think, would be our disaster cycle services. This year to date, and our fiscal year runs July 1 through June 30. So we have gone through 3 quarters of our fiscal year 21. We have responded to 36 events and supported 107 individuals following a disaster in Lebanon County. And what I think is most notable about this, if you look at the trend, or even last year at this time, we concluded the year supporting 35 disasters. So 3 quarters in, we're already exceeding the disaster support and the number of events we've responded to. We've supported individuals with financial contributions of $26,508 in Lebanon County alone. Again, this is only 3 quarters in, and that matches the financial contribution that we ended last year at. So this is Lebanon County specifically. So something that we, notice as a trend, when you see an uptick in disasters, the Red Cross really wants to make sure that we ramp up our preparedness side of our programming. And what that looks like is, we have a breadth of free preparedness programs that we have actually adapted to the virtual environment to be able to deliver to community organizations, government organizations, schools, and you name it. So the Red Cross has a suite of programming for anywhere from ages kindergarten through adult, where we can instruct and train individuals about how to be better prepared for disasters, all of the different type of disasters that they could encounter. We customize it based on the area of the state that you're in. So obviously we're susceptible to floods in Central PA, so we can do a module on floods as well. And we can make sure that everyone feels readily prepared for disaster should it strike. We gear a lot of this towards children, because we all know those children go home and tell mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa exactly what they should be doing. My kids are no different. My 8-year-old called me out in a big way after she did one of the modules. So I wanted to make sure that I put myself raked myself over the coals for that one. But it's a really great program. It's free. It's offered by the Red Cross, and it's redcross.org/preparegpa. I'll drop it in the chat box here. It's free programming. We engage schools, community groups, and different organizations on this free program. And it would be great to be able to promote that through some of your channels if you'd be so willing. Because again, that's where we see where we can make the most change in our disaster world, is making sure that people are prepared. In that same vein, I believe many of you are familiar with our Sound the Alarm program, or our home fire campaign. The Red Cross historically, since 2014, has gone into homes and installed free smoke alarms into at-risk communities. So communities who may not have working smoke alarms or may be more susceptible to fire or any kind of disaster. During the pandemic, we had to pause this campaign for the in-person piece of it. So we aren't gathering dozens of volunteers and going into 300 homes and installing smoke alarms. But what we have done is we have adapted the program to a partner direct model, where we are working with fire departments to supply them with free smoke alarms, knowing that they will install them into homes when they are in the homes. So that's the model that we've adapted to during the pandemic. And I'm pleased to say that we have some really great relationships with local fire departments that have been successful with this. Something that we are doing, mark your calendars, is April 24th. We are doing a home fire campaign event in Schaefferstown. We are targeting 300 homes in that community to do home fire education. And what we're calling it is doorstep education. So the week prior, our team of volunteers will go out and do door hangers and canvass the area and let people know that they can call this number to set up a customized appointment to go over emergency preparedness and a home fire plan for their own home. And the Red Cross will make ourselves available by appointment to either do it on the doorstep virtually or over the phone on April 24th. And our goal is to make sure that we can better prepare 300 homes in Schaefferstown to prepare for a home fire event. So we are really excited about that. We are working primarily with our team of volunteers, but also engaging community partners if they are so willing and able to come out and support this event as well. So something we're really excited for and looking forward to. Something that, I think is really important, if you followed the news or what was happening once the pandemic hit, is in our blood services division. Once the pandemic hit, thousands of blood drives were canceled all across the nation, and our blood supply really saw a dip. What that meant is we weren't able to supply hospitals in need with life-saving blood products and surgeries, and that impacted patient care and surgeries. And we really wanted to make sure that we put a large focus on making sure we could replenish that blood supply. So we put a lot of effort behind making sure that we could maintain the blood supply through scheduling donors, getting new drives on the books. And I have to say we were really successful at that, specifically in Lebanon County. We saw a lot of community partners open their doors for us in a very safe way to make sure that we could meet the needs of our blood patients in need. So to date, in our fiscal 21, we've collected 282 units of blood impacting 800 patients in Lebanon County, which I think is just phenomenal. So I would be remiss if I did not mention all the great work that we've done in our blood services and the commitment that we've seen from Lebanon County to make sure that they can help us replenish that blood supply.
Laura, excuse me, what's a typical year in terms of units of blood from Lebanon County?
From Lebanon County, I can pull those numbers. I don't have the historical figures there. Okay. I would say it's probably a little bit less than what we're seeing this year, just because there was such a big push on our end to make sure that we could replenish that blood supply.
Thank you.
I think we've engaged some new partnerships for specific blood drives. I think we've worked with the Hardees, not the Hardees staff, but at at the Hardees in Lebanon. They've been like a consistent blood program partner, and we've been having blood drives there consistently. I think we have a great relationship with the Goodwill Fire Department, who's been doing
Friendship Fire Company. Friendship Fire Company is very active on it.
Yeah.
I belong to Myerstown Rotary, and our club has stepped up, and when Red Cross needs us to help with a blood drive, we're there to help. So we've had a Red Cross representative, a speaker at one of our meetings recently.
And we thank Jack for that. That's a great point. Thank you for mentioning that, Jack. Yeah, the Myerstown Rotary has been awesome to work with as well. So, what that means and kind of what that's meant to the patients in need has been phenomenal. And we've really seen a really big piece of the community step up and a lot of new donors as well, which has been great. We talk about our veterans programs as well as a big piece of what we do at the Red Cross. And here in Lebanon County, we provided 132 services to military members, veterans, and their families. And that's mainly through our emergency communications program. When the pandemic hit, our VA volunteer opportunities were paused. So the Lebanon VA did pause any in-person volunteer opportunities. However, we have continued to offer tangible items such as toiletries, bed sheets, pots, pans, whatever they need. We've continued to supply the VA hospital with those items. And we've also offered to supply iPads if they need them for connection. So if they need to connect some of their residents or patients with people and their families, we've been offered to supply those iPads to them as well. And then, like I said, we continue to work with the VA on anything that they could possibly need. I know we helped with some messaging and some promotion for some of their programs that they're running currently, and we're continuing to be very much a part of the conversation on how we can support their efforts. Kind of makes me transitions me into what we're looking for right now and how we could see the Lebanon County community help us with some of our ongoing programs. I referenced the really busy disaster season, so that preparedness training piece is a really, really important and vital aspect of what we're doing. So anything that we could do to promote that through any channels possible, I would really appreciate the free programming. It's, like I said, a spectrum of disasters, and it includes handling CPR if that's a need in certain communities, so we can certainly include that as a module. Additionally, we want to make sure that we are continuing to promote our veterans programs. So we not only supply the VA with certain items, we also like to work with a lot of homeless coalitions who have a high concentration of homeless veterans to make sure that we can supply them with comfort items they need, and move-in kits when they're ready to transition into a semi-permanent or permanent housing solution. So we're always looking for new connections to be able to supply those items. And then additionally, you know, this pandemic has brought on a lot of, perhaps mental health issues, or maybe put a spotlight on some of those, specifically within the veteran community. And the Red Cross offers a module of programs called our Resiliency Workshops. And we have a team of mental health professional volunteers, and they can do small group sessions virtually right now during the pandemic with veterans or active military on coping with deployments, returning home, mind-body workshops. And this is all free programming the Red Cross offers. So if there's any groups that you think would benefit from that, I would really love to have those conversations, because that's a big piece of the programming the Red Cross offers in our Service the Armed Forces Division. And we want to make sure we're doing our part to help our military community. So those are certain areas that we're looking to grow our programs in Lebanon County right now. I know I kind of threw a lot of information your way, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions during this time, or follow up with any information that you would find helpful.
Any questions for Laura? If not, you're muted, Joellen. Joellen, unmute.
When you were talking about spreadsheets, were you talking about the ones in the iPads or the ones that go on beds?
Oh, bed sheets, yes, beds. But you never know, right?
It sounded comical. Maybe nobody else did. But.
Yeah. We have we fill a 30-gallon tub with a bunch of items for move-in kits. It includes bed sheets, shower curtains, and bed sheets. We leave the spreadsheets at home.
Yes, Jamie.
How did you arrive on the home fire safety in Schaefferstown and as a location? And are you going to be doing others? Or is it something that the fire department initiated, or?
Our disaster program manager and his team scanned a couple different communities, and Schaefferstown is one of 3 in our 8 counties that we are doing this year. We generally do a risk assessment. It's need-based, and we usually work really closely with the fire departments to determine what that need is and where we can support. In the past, we've allowed the fire department to kind of help us dictate our route based on what they see out there in the community. So this year specifically is really strongly based on what that fire department partnership would look like, because we will be supplying the fire department with smoke alarms that not necessarily in tandem they will be installing, but they can supply to these homes that we are able to visit on that route. Last year, we were slated to work with Myerstown. And we were working with Goodwill Fire Department to do an actual in-home installation, and they're very much still in our minds, and something that a community that we're going to be looking to target in future months or next year as we're able to get this program fully back off the ground the way it used to be. So that's another community we've certainly targeted. And then obviously we're always looking at Lebanon City. That's where a certain concentration of our home fire events have been this past year. So Lebanon City is always on our mind. And I believe I do have a connection with the fire commissioner in Lebanon City to start that partnership conversation as well.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we appreciate you stopping by, and a lot of good information, and we appreciate your presence in Lebanon County.
Well,
Special
thank you
thanks
so
to Jamie for helping us set up today's meeting. Appreciate it.
Well, everyone have a great afternoon. Thank you again for your time. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.